name's Kristyn. I've had Lyme for about 15 years now. I was not misdiagnosed, undiagnosed for 3 years. Didn't show up in my blood, and the location I was at, the doctors only would treat you if it showed up in your blood. I had all the classic symptoms. I had the flu in the summer. I was outdoors all the time. But since I didn't have the blood and I didn't have the bullseye rash, I was not treated. And my symptoms got worse. The mental symptoms, mental health was horrible. I had crippling anxiety and depression. I was in college. I was seeing a psychiatrist because all the doctors that I went to said, nope, it's in your head. And that was really difficult because I knew in my body, in my physical body, that something was wrong. But everybody just said I was making it up. And I graduated college. I went to grad school to get my master's in geoscience. And I was about to graduate, and I started these whole body twitches, kind of like, and it was a little bit at first, and then it got down to the point where it was constant, like twitch after twitch after twitch. I went to a neurosurgeon, and he said, I've never seen this before. I don't know what it is. I have nobody to send you to. I'm sorry. I went to an infectious disease doctor, and I forwarded like 5 years worth of doctor's records to him. And he said, and the psychiatrist, he said, I don't see a reason of why you would be making this up, but there's no evidence of you have it. I guess I'll take, your blood anyways. So this was 3 years after. And finally, luckily, it did show up in my blood work. He gave me 3 weeks of doxy, never wanted to see me again, told me not to call him back. The twitching stopped. I moved on. I moved up to the Virginia area, got a job, and then pretty much I crashed. And I knew my Lyme was coming back, but I knew I had to see somebody. When I was teaching one day, I taught at a community college, environmental science and geology. I miss teaching. When I was teaching and I couldn't remember the word for shoe. And I paused in the middle of class. And I was looking at the students. I'm like, what is the word for that thing on your foot? And I couldn't even get out the words that I wanted to associate with shoe. And I got home that day after teaching. And the place I was living in had a loft as well as 2 bedrooms. And I was up in the loft. And I had all of these symptoms coming back, but that was the last one. And I was crying, and I laid down, face front, just like sprawled out on the floor in the loft. And I was journaling. I'm a big journaler. And I said, God, please send me an angel because I can't live like this anymore. Luckily, after that, I did find a Lyme doctor who could see me soon. I went through a list of about 10, and I just took the first one who had an appointment. Spent about 1.5 years there, and then I just plateaued. And I knew I had to come to who had, over the 1.5 years, by talking to other patients and whatnot, had to come to the Lyme doctor. And that started my journey with Dr. Jemsek many years ago. So I've probably been with him for about, I'm not sure, between 6 and 10 years. At that point, who counts? And I did pretty good in the beginning, and I was making progress. And then all of a sudden, I had a PICC line with the first doctor, and that did a little bit. And with Dr. J, I had I always forget what it's called, central line or midline. I had one, and it kind of worked. And I was just plateauing for a really, really long time. And he was throwing everything at me that he had. Medicine, supplements, food, smoothies. And I just wasn't going anywhere. It was almost getting worse. But what he didn't know at that time is I was in a very toxic relationship for many years. So I was coming here year after year, not getting better, and Dr. J didn't know why, and I couldn't tell him that it's probably because of what's going on at home. And I remember there was this one night I was doing an IV antibiotic, and I was just laying on the floor throwing up the whole time for about 5 hours, just throwing up straight. And I hadn't put the two together. I was just trying to survive Lyme, survive the relationship. I was teaching full time. I was doing my PhD full time. But then, luckily, I was able to leave that relationship. And the first time I came in after that, I came with my dad, who I truly believe saved me from that situation. And he met Dr. Jemsek, and I told Dr. Jemsek what had been going on, and he just was sort of quiet for a while and said, I didn't understand why you weren't getting better, but now it makes a lot of sense. And I'm so glad you're not in that anymore. And since then, I've been responding very well to treatment. It's been about, 2 or 3 years since then. And I believe now I'm on maintenance. And I've got maybe one more round, and we'll see how that goes. And I have to say that for the first time in 15 years, I feel like a person that I like. And I don't know if we have wood in here, but knock on wood, I almost have no symptoms. It's been a really long journey, but there's absolutely no way I would be healthy if I was anywhere else. Dr. Jemsek, I truly believe, has saved my life. Anywhere else, I don't know where I would be. So that's, in a nutshell, my journey.